Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to a Plotting and Scheming Extra. I am here with the full cast to do a brief cover on the Constable faction. We are moments after lock-in for week 2 of this 5 vs. 5 season, where Cobb is making his debut, and it's my pleasure to, be joined by Dagger, TJ, Sasha, Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, it's brand new day. Got Cobb here. I think the first thing that people are going to want to talk about with these characters is just on a high level how we're setting them up, and then how we plan to use them here in this first week. And I think that's a reasonable agenda just for a more brief video. So, let's talk about how we're different from what I've set up. I went with defense and health. If I could have done this in full defense sets, I would have, but you'll see. I had a choice in there that's different. So I have 95,000 health, 305 speed, 68,000 prot. Crit damage triangle. Him doing damage does provide healing to his team. So I'm kind of splitting the difference here between going full tank and having some hybridized damage in there as well. Speaking of which, 9,600 offense. I did take him to Relic 10, so he's pretty much freebied into being over 100% crit chance. And 71.4% armor. How are you guys doing this differently?
I just went with offense set, some extra bulk, but offense set, health set.
Yeah, so you don't think he's you think that Nebit's going to be able to hold the line enough of the time such that him being set up for tanking is not necessary?
I think Jawa's going to take like 6 Dolt. He's going to take like 6 turns, and you're going to curb stomp them.
Okay. Any other takes there on the modding? Oh, sure. Go ahead.
I went survivability, like you, Tess. Sorry, go ahead, Darren.
Well, I was going to say, I think this team's offense is the best defense. So, I mean, you can bulk them out, but I feel like they're just going to curb stomp the things they beat with the true damage and everything.
Okay. That's fair. Over to you, Sasha. What were you saying?
I was just really a similar approach to you. I really prioritize survivability across the team. My strong suspicion is that they're, at least in my read of their kits, is that they're really designed to be used on offense, at least like to be more selective about who their opponent is than you're able to do on defense. So, and with that, I figure just with high survivability and remaining sort of at the wheel with the squad, I'm confident it can steamroll, what we would target for it. So yeah, high survivability, very similar modding to what you laid out.
I definitely took some inspiration from how you had it set up. I was thinking about full tank earlier, but I thought I might go a little, finger in every pie on that one and see how I feel about it come week 3. So yeah, appreciate that. TJ, Fatal, anything you wanted to contribute here on Cobb?
Yeah, the only thing I did was just think I want more turns with him. So I think we're all across the board, except for Dagger. I went to a speed arrow just because I wanted the 330 to 340 range to get it in there, but I still wanted high survivability. I was honestly trying for 75% defense. The best I could get to was 73, but I also took him to R10. I wasn't playing with that, with the crit damage triangle.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll say what results in with my opinion on this team, which is that Cobb Vanth is Admiral Ratus. This team is defined by there are people who can die and there are people who cannot. And there was a point this morning where I was going to lock in with R9 Vanth, and then on a random whim, I was just like, I was trying to decide, does Nebit need a relic, Scab need a relic, because everyone was pretty low relic. Went in, and just to be clear, my Cobb Vanth had 77% armor with 180k total health.
Nice.
That's crazy. That's so awesome.
And SM33 punched my Cobb in the face. Our King Hondo did a double mass assist on my Cobb's face, and that boy died. So the thing I want to keep in the back of people's heads this week is this man is Admiral Redis. And there will be fights where you're just like, that was a breeze. And there are fights where you're like, please stop shooting him. Right? It's like, it's equal parts Admiral Raddus and also kind of like Marin. And
That's a great comparison.
yeah, man, you are like, does he use damage? Well, yeah, sure. You are kind of gambling. If you do anything less than the absolute most survivability, you are kind of gambling on the AI's targeting. So, yeah, just something to keep in the back of your head. Just watch
I
out for
really like that comparison. That feels like spot on to call him the Admiral Raddus.
We've been duly warned. All right, guys. Next character, Cup. Now, I was originally just thinking speed set with maybe even offense primaries on it all the way around, something like 3 of them. In the end, looking around some other folks and looking at Vexatron's video earlier this morning, I did like the look of an offense set. Talked to a couple other players who were explaining that, there's an enormous amount of offense that's actually going to get pushed through this guy, to say nothing of the true damage granted, because he will be, a light side support constable. So, yeah. Went with something, I want to say Vex is in the 270s. I'm here in the low 280s, so only a few speed faster. The survivability, I thought, was kind of moot. It didn't really matter to me if it was health or protection, because he can't die so long as Cobb lives. Going back to Fatal's point that he certainly needs to not die. After that, just stuck a crit damage triangle on him that had offense on it. If I didn't have that available, would have been okay with an offense primary. And then pushed myself over 7,600 offense. And this is at Relic 8. I don't know if I'll take this character to Relic 9. I feel like, haven't they offered the $5 packs to Relic 10? These things more than one time, though, is what I'm saying.
Yes. I thought they did 9 and 10.
They offered him at R9 and then they offered him at R10.
Yeah.
But I'm saying for any of these R10 weird one-off characters that they've offered, haven't they offered at least one of those offerings more than once?
No.
They've only done the R10 this year. They did R9 the previous
R9. They offered R9 once. They offered R10 once.
Okay.
Sounds like you're in for an R11 cup down the road.
Maybe that's it. Yeah. I'll hold the line for the $5 R11 cup. I'll see you guys then.
They won't even sell it for $5 because he's using. They won't even sell it for $5.
Shut up, Dagger.
The whole reason
it's definitely true. Yeah. You're asked out. If you don't pick up them $5 packs, now you're on the phone.
That's it. They see who among us can live without the Relic 10 Ugnaught. Anyways, so what do you guys think?
In a week later, you'll get 2 boots and John Mom in to replace them.
Yes.
Yeah, I put my mods in. I put my mods in the scheme team. I just modded them with mods I had laying around or on characters that weren't used in GAT or TW. So basically, just they're not well modded, but they got stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. So we see what you're going with here. All right. Any other comments on how you guys were setting up your cup?
Similar to you, I didn't put an offense on top.
Yeah, I've got yours here on screen.
One of my personal interests is undersizing with this squad. Kind of, depending on, honestly, we'll have to just do a sit down with the kid and write down some of the clauses so I can figure out where they could possibly go that isn't outlaws. But I ended up just going pure speed set because it's the true damage is cool and all. But yeah, speed set offense primaries because I'm beginning to feel like the Cup basic stun is kind of ended up feeling like one of the better things for the team to do outside of high noon. And so kind of just looking to crank that out as often as possible just to try to, again, especially if we're talking undersized, the odds of Cobb getting targeted go up. And so that's kind of where my head is at.
Okay. Yeah, I think I tried to make him reasonably fast, but that's about all the better I think I can do outside of a health set. Outside of a speed set. I want to say I had him about 300. But don't you think that the gap between something like the 280s and 300 is pretty small with the amount of total speed gained and turn meter gains getting pushed through the team?
Yeah, well, here's the interesting thing, though, on like just the numbers behind that. I agree, Tass. It feels relatively small, but when the amount of turn meter that they're actually needing to advance based on speed alone versus the turn meter gains, it actually drives up the effective speed difference. So, like, for example, if they're only covering, let's say, let's just say roughly half their turn meter bar comes from turn meter gains, then how often they're taking turns, their speed has double the effect because it's covering half that speed. So like a 20 speed difference is the equivalent of a 40 speed difference, like in a JMK non-TN gaining environment. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah, this team definitely feels like it wants to be on the faster side, and it's like Sasha said, it's not. I don't think it's specifically because it's like, oh my god, they want speed. I think it's because they like once they get out of the gates, they just need to start cycling. Right? If that makes sense. This team feels very much more like the cycling team than a lot. It's like Bad Batch 2, kind of, right? Where they just want to cycle.
Yeah, and exactly. Grossly oversimplified. Like my view in reading the kits was, you really would like to have support constables go fairly often. And maybe a little bit for what they do, but a lot for what they do for others. And there's also a little bit of like baggage that comes with all of our experiences with Cup, where I think we've been conditioned to expect disappointing things from him. So I'm like, all right, I don't know how hard he's going to hit, but if he can make other people, maybe Cobb Vanth will be the savior of this faction and speed everything else up. So that's why I generally optimize on speed. Mine's not in like whip fast or anything. I didn't put much on Cup, but I did a speed set.
Okay.
Just figured that 310 plus 75 was like a okay speed line for just like, middle 380s. So just like, I don't know what I'm going to be fighting. I'm just going to put up a decent number. 310 speed, 7,000 offense is like, okay, that's acceptable.
Very good. I appreciate that. That's good. We got a couple, contrasting builds there, but we're largely on the same page, thinking offense, thinking moving. But yes, more speed being 310 is a really significant difference from 283. So I'll give you that.
Yeah, I said about that. The only thing I did was the added potency. That was the only thing I really wanted that check in. So I put it. It ended up with the potency cross. I gave it 80%. So I wanted to stay up there higher because of the application of what it can bring. Because I think Fatal's right with the stun or anything else is going to apply.
Yeah.
So that check feels like it became necessary, especially with what Cobb is doing with the leadership.
Right. With the, whatever it is, the chance effects being doubled or made absolute. I forget how it's worded, but that basic being able to reliably stun.
But I'm still AK physical as well because this is the R10, with the setup. So I wanted to keep that because I watched Fatal do the fights.
Wow.
And his stuff felt significant. Cup feels impactful for the team. I really like the 310, but I didn't want to let go of that potency check as well, just because I feel like we're going to be something there where it's like, oh, this Cup stun really just screwed you.
Yeah.
Also, the other reason we're trying to budget more speed into this team is that 4 of these units are like, if they're not original game units, they're first year units. Their speeds are like the 130s, 140s.
Well, that's
I think
what the
Cobb's like
kit's giving,
170 something, so even he's not like absurdly fast.
True,
But,
and it's
so many of
early
these
days.
characters are just dirt fucking slow.
It's early days for this team, so it's tough to keep it all in mind. But remember that at the start of battle, Constable allies gain 25% defense, max health, and offense, and 25 speed. The speed is tripled if they are supports. So the kit design is taking account for what you're saying. Like these ancient disused characters are definitely getting a big leg up just from the kit.
But I was also referring to like the Jawas and Tuscans as well.
Ancient disused units. Yes. Okay, next one, guys. Let's move through this. Is Lobot. So in a similar vein, like what we were talking with Cup in terms of wanting him to take turns and then wanting him to have high offense because, there's true damage involved. Sure, that's kind of what I went with. So 310 speed, I guess that's the mark to hit on Cup if you're going speed as well, somewhere around there. 79,000 health. Didn't go with crit damage triangle. I think I went with a couple offense primaries here, though. So 7,400 offense. What'd you guys do? Anything different?
This team taught me that I have a lot of fast mods with really bad secondaries. This team has most of them. So I think my Lobot's like a little bit faster than yours,
Mhm.
but nowhere near the stats or anything. I had some 27s with like really dog shit secondary, but it's like, oh yeah, let's just make you quick as shit.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't stick as much into him. Don't get me wrong, he's awesome and everything else. I think I'm at 295 ish. So the
Sure.
speed check of where we're going to be, I expect a 20 speed difference. Like 315 feels really good.
Mhm.
And I know yours is more optimized with the modding, but I also agree with your setup. Yours would be more highly of that. I think I went offense. Again, some survivability was a speed check, but nothing else too crazy. I just wanted to make sure he got his turns, and you know the heals are going to come in.
Sounds good. Anything else on this guy with his modding? Okay. Next one, Scavenger. So yeah, the reading, and I wonder if any of you guys have heard otherwise, but the bonus for Constable allies at the start of battle that we just went over with from the leadership would not count for your Jawa allies because they will have deputize with the Grandarino Omicron, I want to say, at battle start, but they still have to actually press that button on their first turn to become constables. So I was thinking of a similar setup to Lobot here, like speed offense, when I thought that the leadership bonus was going to apply to this character. But, you know, after some careful consideration, I went with just a full tank set and leaned into the health primary thing, same as Cobb for the most part. Just trying to get the most out of that huge protection up bonus that's granted. It's like 75% per constable ally. It's nuts. Although I don't think he'll get that now that I think about it. But yeah, anyway, he's thick as hell. 100,000 health, 40,000 prot, 236 speed. And this guy is gaining a lot, and I mean a lot of turn meter here. In addition to the speed bonuses, whatnot, it's okay. I think this guy's going to move well enough, and it's cool because he does have an AoE, which will do more true damage. So would be nice if there was more offense tucked into this build, but very clearly the priority was to survive. So I'm just over 71% armor, which, yeah, for a character this old with a very low base armor value, that's with 25, almost 26% armor added to get there. What did you guys do with Scavenger?
I did something to what Sasha mentioned earlier, which is, yeah, he's going to gain a bunch of turn meter, but giving him speed makes him take even more turns. And I feel like his AoE is like probably one of the best buttons you're going to be clicking on the team because they're forced to hit Nebit, which puts thermos on them, and he gets to, if you get to pop them when you want to pop them, that's probably better. So having that off cooldown as much as possible is something that I wanted. So I put him in the speed.
Yeah. That's fair.
I don't remember how fast he is. I put my thing in there so you can check.
I
But
went-
I put a
I
pretty
went-
good speed set on him.
Yeah, I did the durability side. The idea between Scavenger, it's him on team. His stuff is okay, but his unique has always been a monster maker. And then when they turned that into a feature versus a bug, and him giving a million bombs, there is no way you don't want him just to live and stay stealthy. And plus, I believe that still applies from Cobb's setup when it comes to stealth support. Believe you're on mute, Tass.
Yeah, it's tough to make him crit. To make him go under stealth, but you know, that's why I built him thicker. Sorry. Who was gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say I also went out of my way to put some extra health on him. But yeah.
Yeah, looks pretty good. 304 speed, almost 90,000 health. And yeah, I don't know if the potency is necessary on him in this setting because I forget the clause that's handing out a thermal detonator at the start of somebody's turn, but it is an unresistible thermal detonator to everybody on the enemy team. So yeah, just have him not die. Any other thoughts there?
Probably move over to a health cross then.
That's kind of what I was thinking, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, enough on that one. If there was nothing else, sorry. Okay. Over to Nebit. Yeah, I managed to just barely get him to Relic 9 here before lock today. Really satisfied with making this guy just a big old brick. About 76,000 health, so only a very little amount added. 184,000 prot, so just under 100,000 prot added at 232 speed. So yeah, it's not important that he goes often, just not that that he doesn't fall over. With 20% armor added, he's at 80.9. So just a big, thick lad. How about you guys? What'd you do?
Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm like you with just sort of mods, but he's definitely on the bulky side. I wasn't. He's at 140 secondary speed, which is probably faster, but I think to what Dagger said, it nailed it. At this point, it was like the fourth and the fifth character, so I was wanting just good enough mods where I could swap around, not where I had to really refine them. And mine's only R8, so I did like kind of like Fatal. All my stuff were 7s, so I gave each of them a couple a relic here, a relic there type situation.
Makes sense.
I think I accidentally almost hit, or close to, maybe I did hit 80% armor, but that was like a complete accident.
Yeah, 79.62. Pretty much there.
But yeah, trying to give him some defense and protection.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty thick. It's a pretty gnarly setup.
I do feel like his mods probably matter the most on the team. I mean, obviously, if Fatal's undersizing, like you can, there's obviously extenuating of circumstances. But if you're going to use this team of 5, I do feel like his mods are probably the most important because he's going to be the one taunting.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, if I'm going for like a 3-man or a 4-man, I think Scavenger might get cut before Nebit. Just for
I was going to say, yeah.
When you
think 3 versus 3, who are you thinking? Like you're thinking Cobb, Nebit, and who?
3 versus 3. I'll have to review what's on and off of everything. But I mean, yeah, just on average, right? If you're talking about durability, my Scavenger dies all the fucking time. Like, my actual mod quality on this team, aside from Cobb, is actually like pretty low for this week, just because low investment, low expectations. But yeah, Nebit, like, I mean, depending on how far this thing goes, like Nebit to R9 is like kind of no brainer, and Nebit to R10 is like within consideration, just because he's your only guy in the way of not getting killed.
Fair.
Nebit to R9 is something I reckon. I would probably R9. I would R9 Nebit before I took like Cobb past like R8.
Yeah.
Just for most matchups.
I think that's fair. Speaking of matchups, guys, are there any other comments we wanted to talk about on the mods before we talk about how we're using Cobb?
Just be mindful of whether you want to be on health primaries or protection primaries for the people who can die, because yes, you get the bonus protection, and like that I can think of for the majority of outlaw matchups, that's fine. If you venture outside of that, think twice. Make sure that you're not getting taxed on that, because the bonus protection gives you like some built-in durability against percent health, but once that's gone, you made your choice. Your ratio is your ratio. So
now I think we're all kind of in agreement that this is an offense team. We don't trust the AI to play this properly. And if that's the case, it does seem that the only time you can be punished is if you're choosing a matchup where you're actually dealing with damage over time in some fashion. At which point, don't you just drop one of the Jawas to bring a Tuscan? And then you're more or less okay for it? You're indemnified against damage over time?
Damage over time is not typically a concern. I'm talking about the actual like percent health, tax, expose, spam, Malik drain. Like the game is chock full of, and even if we're talking about like I don't know if Grandma's would ever be inconsiderate. Like let me put it this way: my bad batch feels very hypersensitive to whether my record is on health protection primaries, whether we're talking about like a Queen Aladala or whatever else have you. It is just very much a part of the meta right now, and I imagine this team will be no different, where it's just like, yeah, as we're learning Cobb, be mindful of, again, Outlaw, Pirate King Hondo doesn't really do percent health, you're immune to deaths, like, seems like more or less you're covered there. But
yeah, well, let's take this into the next segment then. Let's talk about matchups. Obviously, we all know about this is probably the death of Java on defense for the foreseeable future. You do have, by bringing a Java, immunity to thermal deaths. And then your kit's kind of, through Cobb, just kind of manhandling what it's about. Now, you were just talking about Pirate King Hondo. Please pick that thought back up, Fatal.
I mean, it seems viable. I don't know if it'll necessarily be a 65, like with the GOC Macron. It might be. Yeah, I mean, Cobb is pretty tailor built to target pirates and scoundrels, and Pirate King Hondo is in fact a pirate team. Pirate King Hondo is definitely going to be the harder, more costly matchup of the two, but like, yeah, I mean, if you got like a good light side Bullcron and you're modded correctly, I think on average you'll be fine.
Fair. Let's say the rest of the room. Anything on your thoughts on Java, on Pirate King, any other matchups you just immediately see jumping out at you that you're excited to try this team against?
Honestly, I have a feeling I'm going to probably use this against BKM at some point this week because people are probably going to pull Java or something. But basically, this team feels good against teams that lack reactivity. You're going to click like 3 times as many buttons against Hondo as you will against Java. So keep that in mind. I think Hondo's going to probably strip some banners and or maybe be a timeout risk, depending on how well you can control them.
Fair.
I think so. I agree with what's been said, and I also think there's like a little bit of a potential pitfall for folks in the first rollout and use of it here. And this is a common thing I think in the game where like people assume anything new. Perhaps we've been conditioned because of scope creep to just assume, or power creep rather, over time that it's going to be OP and crush what anything that's called out in its kit, and it probably will. But I do find, at least with some friends, that they'll say like, "Oh, hey, this thing, if it's not a failsafe, it surprised me, it didn't work." And then you take a deeper look on squads like this, and it's like they're going up against all R9, R10 Pirate King Hondo squads that are modded out to the gills, and the comp or squad that they're using, maybe they've got Cobb Vanth invested in, but they haven't done the ancillary characters, and you just get Relic Delta to hell. Like if you came into that with a Pirate King Hondo matchup with R5 Nebit and R5 Scavenger, which, by the way, I do not blame anybody for having them R5 or lower. There's been historically no reason to meaningfully invest in them. But like, I think people can overestimate by sort of realizing, hey, I'm not on Relic parity or even close, and you can get crushed with Relic Delta. So I do think there's going to be a few people out there that will make mistakes and then probably overinterpret that as like limitations on Cobb Vanth, when like realistically I think of a Vanth squad's invested in as deeply as the as a PKH squad. I think it probably does pretty well.
Yeah, that is definitely something many people are going to walk into this week, is pushing just how much the mechanics of this team can overcome Relic Delta. So great point there. Sorry, Dagger, you were going to say?
I would say my kind of last thoughts on this team are just the characters you're using with Cobb just are not good characters. So while I suspect the mechanics are good enough to beat some of these teams, similar to what Sasha said about Relic Delta, I think there might be some pain points as well, or some ways to block this team, etc. Just because the other 4 characters' kits just are not very good, right? You might be able to move stuff around that. So that's also something to keep in mind as well.
Good deal.
Yeah, and just to validate that, if you go and you check, like for example, Chief Nebit's unique, that's definitely one thing that you're going to discover. He doesn't have a unique. They're just full characters, man.
That's it. Yeah, just because that's literally where you're getting at. He's the lead for a team who needed a lead.
Lobot has 2 uniques, and they both give a shit about droids. So
Right.
well, no unique there.
That's also fair. Yeah.
All right, guys. It is about time to wrap this one up. Appreciate you all for joining me to make this video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, hit subscribe to the channel to see more. And until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.